Once again, a very good evening and a warm welcome to all of us gathered here. We are here today for the 77th edition of Mimamsa, our Purpose Leadership Residency program, organized by Organic BPS. Organic BPS, as we all know, is India's first brand purpose consultancy. And in Organic, we've given a lot of importance to learning, continuous learning. And so from the very beginning of Organic, we've always had learning and development programs, not only for our employees, but any of our stakeholders who are interested in continuous learning. And Mimamsa is an initiative in this regard that we have to ensure that we have continuous leadership in a continuous learning in the leadership program. And we are deeply grateful today to have Mr. Nazar with us. And without much further ado, we will start Mimamsa today with the invocation. Not only all of us gathered here, but lots of people watching us online. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to them as well. And I'd like to call upon Mr. Nainan Tarian. He is our president and advisory board member to please welcome the gathering.
A purposeful good afternoon to one and all. Warm welcome to the 77th edition of Mimamsa. Mimamsa, as the Sanskrit word suggests, is reflection and is a visionary learning forum started by Mr. Dilip Narayan, the founder of Organic BPS Group. Though it began as a learning forum for the benefit of the human capital at Organic BPS, over the years, it has now become an interactivity between our business associates as well. We are very fortunate to have got Mr. I.S.A.K.Nazar, the founder of Manna Foods, to share his valuable learnings and insights of his highly successful business enterprise and establishment of the strong Manna brand in the highly competitive and cluttered FMCG sector. Today's management wisdom is evolved from leadership experience over the years. Talking about leadership experience, there are three fundamental truths about leadership experience. One is that the experience matters because leaders are not born, they are made. Experience is variable and not all the experience are the same. And third and finally, experience is the past, the present, and the future at once. It is essentially a continuum. I'm very sure that Mr. Nazar's session today will give us an opportunity to introspect, reflect, and learn to propel growth for our enterprise and that of our business associates. Let us listen to Mr. Nazar carefully in the learning mode. Happy listening.
Thank you so much, Nayan sir. Now we will have a look at Organic BPS's corporate video.
Restart game, restart India.
Women be the change.
I now invite Dilip, our founder and managing director, to introduce us to both his babies, Organic BPS and Mimamsa.
Namaskaram. Distinguished Chief Guest, Mr. Nazar, and my dear friends, good evening. At the outset, let me welcome each one of you to this beautiful learning session. And a big shout out to those watching us on social media. At Organic BPS, we believe that a quintessential professional is also a perpetual student. Therefore, we have initiated a purpose leadership residency program called Mimamsa to develop purpose-driven and value-based leaders. We are glad that we could organize 76 sessions so far and are profoundly grateful to those illustrious leaders who have illuminated our minds in the past. Today, we have an exceptional guest as the 77th speaker, a highly celebrated and acclaimed entrepreneur and social leader from Chennai, Mr. Nazar. Sir, I'm extremely grateful for your time. We have witnessed tremendous changes in the business, the way business is done in the past 2 to 3 years. Usually such fleeting changes would take at least 20 to 25 years. However, the pandemic has accelerated the transition so much. And if you scan the business environment today, 3 things stand out. 1, the uncertainty faced by employees, management, and shareholders. 2, high expectations of the customers. 3, low trust in businesses by the general public. So the challenge before a business leader today is to manage these apparent contradictions. I and my team at Organic BPS strongly feel that the only way out is to demonstrate that the businesses serve not only shareholders, but also customers, suppliers, employees, communities, and the planet. We call it higher purpose. A clearly defined and articulated purpose keeps the organization moving together in the same direction as one cohesive unit. A clear purpose acts as a beacon, as a North Star to both internal and external stakeholders. And all of them know what they stand for. So usually many of my friends ask me, why do you always talk about purpose? I think Everybody needs to know their purpose and meaning of their lives. I believe people with purpose thrive, brands with purpose grow, companies with purpose last. Purpose could be about fun, purpose could be about indulgence, purpose could be about being a rebel, purpose could be about saving the world, but purpose must be intrinsic to the business. I am happy that our humble initiative Mimamsa has become the breeding ground for authentic, belief-driven leaders. Let me end by reiterating our commitment to building purposeful brands and sustainable organizations. It's a time for us to deliver on our motto of growth for all, growth for good. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dilip, a very passionate advocate of brand purpose. I'd now invite Vivek. Vivekanandan is our Director, Purpose Branding, to please introduce our chief guest for today.
Yeah. A warm welcome and good evening to all our members who joined the call today. It gives me great pleasure to introduce Mr. Nazar. He actually comes from down Tamil Nadu, from a place called Tirunelveli, where he did his schooling and then college education. Post his graduation, he joined the sales domain in the pharmaceutical industry, grew up the ladder, and then he went into the heart of the pharmaceutical industry, which is the west of India, and he was based in Gujarat, playing key role in a pharmaceutical company there. And while he was at the peak of his career, he had to come back to Tamil Nadu because of family reasons after the demise of his father, to take care of a family responsibility. So hence he came down to Tamil Nadu. And then he has to switch over track from a pharmaceutical industry. He entered into an engineering domain, which is completely new to him, and started working in the engineering company. Again, he grew up to the level of a group general manager of the company. Around 1999, he felt the need to become an entrepreneur, and he wanted to move away from employment. And he was discussing with his friends about his interest to start a pharmaceutical industry. Because of the high investment that is required, his friends suggested that he can look at other alternatives. That's when he found the idea of getting into traditional natural health foods. And he, in his early days itself, had gone to CFTRI in Mysore, did a course on food and food processing, and started his entrepreneurial journey in 2000, where he founded Manna Foods as one of the first companies to enter into health foods, traditional health foods. Manna meaning food from heaven. And he has grown the company from where it was today until today. It is run by professional management today. And after this transition, he has now formed a family office where he is managing investment for his company, and he has invested in a lot of startups. And he has also started various FMCG brands through smaller companies which have just been initiated, and the journey is on. He's again getting into health foods, bespoke nutrition, sweet snacks and savories, and various other things where the journey is on through M Capital Services. And he's a great entrepreneur, an employee turned entrepreneur. He's a Rotarian. He's very socially active, an active speaker in many forums, and very dynamic personality, very ground to earth. So we'll now invite Mr. Nazar to deliver his lecture today. Thank you.
Good evening to all of you, and I'm very, very happy to be a speaker in this very important forum launched by Mr. Dilip so passionately to aid and help people who are interested in getting into purpose branding. When Mr. Vivek met me a few months back, he explained about this purpose branding in very detailed format. And it was really passionate to know that there are some people now like Mr. Dilip and Mr. Vivek working on some new dimensions, because business, as Mr. Dilip informed or spoken the beginning of this session, business takes new dimensions quite often, and post-COVID period is a new dimension has taken in India and elsewhere. Mimamsa is a truly a needed kind of a learning session where we can share our thoughts. It's not that I speak you here and it's only each one of us have different experiences and different accomplishments, different challenges we have faced, and the idea of such meetings is a kind of oxygen chambers for us. When you go up in the ladder, when you walk into hills, you will feel some kind of a sophistication. And because as you go up, the level of oxygen is less when you go up. That's why when you are in UT, when you are in ERCOT, or when you are in the hill places, we feel the need of oxygen is more, because you cannot speak as we speak in the plains. We cannot run as we run in the plains in hills, because the oxygen is less. That's why I used to tell the young entrepreneurs, as you move up, if you move very fast, then maybe you'll need more oxygen. So such meetings, in my opinion, are oxygen chambers where we can get in, get some oxygen and go on. And then another meeting where you can get in and hear some good information about business, entrepreneurship and branding and etc. That will play as oxygen for us till you get the next chamber. That's how I'm very, very happy to be here as invited by Mr. Vivek and and also I thank Ms. Navya for this correspondence with us, and I'm here. As briefly explained by Mr. Vivek, and I basically come from pharmaceutical industry. I was fortunate to work under true icons of those days who were considered to be the forerunners in the pharmaceutical industry, particularly in marketing. Pharmaceutical industry is a tricky area even today. And there are 10% of the companies hugely successful, and 80% of the companies are mediocre companies, and 10% will always suffer. That's how the pharmaceutical company arithmetics go. And I was fortunate to work under such top brand leaders who really thought and implemented a lot of creative ideas those days. Those days in pharmaceutical industry, basically even today, but to a large extent, those days it was different. It was completely dominated by doctors, prescription based. Today, the avenues have expanded. Today, export is almost 42% of the pharmaceutical medicines and generic drugs which are manufactured in India, 42% is being exported. Those days, hardly 2%. That's a kind of a change pharmaceutical has taken. Why I'm referring to this pharmaceutical is that has been my heart of learning. And that's the reason, as Vivek said, I wanted to start a pharmaceutical industry. And when I prepared my project report and all, I realized that pharmaceutical industry, you need to be pan-India. Otherwise, there is no point in getting into a pharmaceutical industry, because that's how the industry is formed and designed. And I don't want to get into pan-India, particularly with respect to marketing, because I know what marketing of pharmaceutical is because of my experience. And it required time and lots of money. So I made up my mind to switch over to some other area where I landed in getting into health foods, traditional health foods, ready to cook health foods. That's what I always say, that ready to cook is the area. When I decided to get into this, most of my friends discouraged me, saying that you are getting into an area which is dying. I replied them that is going to happen in another 10 days. People are going to come back to ready to cook, because that's what happened in COVID now. And all people are getting into. So before COVID, you don't know what is actually Ayush or Ayurveda or Unani or kind of a thing. Today, people are behind all these Indian medicines and natural medicine. That's how the whole system is changing. And we realized that this kind of a thing is going to happen when we started this industry, and we concentrated on health foods. To add value to our distributors, maybe we have added some common products, but we stuck to our main single product concentration, because we knew that it's only a matter of time We need to wait and get into some kind of an acceptance in the market. And the moment it's accepted, maybe we are going to be big. And it took 10, 12 years for us to establish our brand, particularly that product. And I won't say that I can always, definitely I can claim that we have created a category. We have created a category in ready to food health foods. That's what the category even today stays. And circumstances were such that I realized, particularly after the COVID, because as Mr. Dilip mentioned, I've been also be a social person, being addressing many entrepreneurial schools and young entrepreneurs and Rotarians and many engineering colleges, kind of a thing. That has been my passion. So I realized in the first onset of this COVID-19 period, there's no point stuck to one thing, and we should use our expertise and our experience or our knowledge to benefit at least few people. I read one book which is very interesting. I want to share with you, which says, "Die empty." Die empty means whatever experience you have got, you have to give it back before you die. Anytime you will face that kind of a situation. People may die anytime. So what that book says, you have spent so much time, so much energy, so much efforts, and so many failures, so many successes, so many accolades, so many challenges, and all those experiences, whatever you have got, you have to give it to the society before you die. And tell people that kind of an experience so that somebody can pick up something. If you don't share and die, whatever you have in the mind, whatever experiences you have gained, whatever knowledge you have gained, if you die without sharing it, it says that you have not been a good person. And that book, Die Empty, I would request you to go. It's a beautiful book. That changed all my expectations of life, my future course of action. So I decided to take a new avatar, and I thought I should start my new life helping young entrepreneurs, starting new brands. And why not a brand creator? That's what my job now. I call myself as a creator of brands, or helping brands to establish themselves in different models of business. And that way, I'm happy to be associated or sharing my knowledge with this elite group of Mimamsa, where maybe one or two will take some kind of a thing. Before I get into this, I want to tell you two important things. First and foremost, as Mr. Dilip has just outlined in his initial remarks, India has gone through huge changes. I've been a lover of history. Also, I've been very closely associated with what has happened since independence of this country. And if you look at all these things, what should have happened at whatever the time that has happened in India, that's the reason we are here where we should have been, where should we. So exactly in the 60s or in the early 70s, Madam Indira Gandhi decided that India should get into a new dimension of economy, and the entire thing, whatever you and I talk today, the entire economical revolution or the new India formation or entrepreneurship or large business houses to minuscule businesses has happened from the bank nationalization. That has happened in 1969. From there, the fire has started. And maybe it took 30 years for us to get into the next dimension, next flow of thing, till Mr. Manmohan Singh, Mr. Chidambaram, and Mr. Narasimha Rao got into the new business economical policy. That's how the changes have happened. Today, whether you like it or not, I don't say that it is the creation of the government or the creation of economists, but naturally what has happened 30 years later, from 99 to 2021, naturally we are pushed into a kind of a situation after this COVID-19, because nobody expected that COVID-19 would come. The world will seal himself. Every street was sealed, every district was sealed, every country was sealed, the entire motion of people were sealed. So this is totally unexpected. Even now, people do not realize the kind of a lesson nature has given to us. They think that we have crossed, and it is not crossed. It can happen anytime. So wherever I speak to young entrepreneurs, even the established entrepreneurs, I used to tell them, like what you need a business, what you need a medical policy to take care of our health. Time for entrepreneurs, whether you are young, whether you are established, whether you are small, medium or large, time for you to take some business immunity policy. It's important. We have to put a guard around us now. After this COVID-19 situation, you don't know. I have addressed at least 300, 350 meetings every day, every week. Minimum 3 to 4 meetings I have attended where 100, 150, 200, 1,000, 1,800 people have attended such seminars. Either I have addressed or I have heard. And I have seen even established industry people, established business people who are crying on the scene. such kind of a disturbances this COVID-19 has created. So it is time for us to deeply think, first to establish a kind of a business immunity for us. A portion of our earnings or a portion of our system or whatever decision we make, we have to think of what will happen if such kind of a disruption again comes in. So the business immunity, like the medical immunity, business policy, like a medical policy, business policy, like a health policy, is the need of the hour. Guru Charan Das, in my opinion, is one of the celebrated writers. I read all his books because he is a FMCG man. He is a brand builder. He was CEO of Unilever, of global CEO, Guru Charan Das. In around at about 55 or 56, he thought that he has been enough and he has done everything professionally and he should quit and start writing. So he started writing books, came back from States, and this Guru Charan Das has written many books. One book is really interesting, maybe you may be interested to be Difficulty of Being Good. I'm not promoting that book, but I am telling you that you will like it because it is a book on Mahabharata, and if you don't need you will not read Mahabharata there, you will read a lot of leadership lessons there. Difficulty of Being Good. The same author, Guru Charan Das, has written another book, India Grows at Night. India grows at night. He doesn't mean that India does not do anything on the day and does everything on the night. That is not the meaning. The meaning, what Guru Charan Das says, in spite of good or bad governance, in spite of good or bad policies of the government, in spite of whether government helps the businesses or not helping the businesses, in spite of good or bad leaders, in spite of good or bad environments, whatever kind of a challenges India can have, India continue to produce entrepreneurs. In his book, he says the entrepreneurial blood is there in India's DNA. That's what he means. India grows at night. Meaning, the established businesses, the successful entrepreneurs are not the one who got the support of the so-called government agencies kind of a thing. The people who have been successful in spite of all the challenges because they had the DNA. The idea of that book is to awake our response, to give us a feeling that I, as an Indian, I as a person who comes from Tamil Nadu, have that wherewithal in my DNA to do business. That's what he meant. And that's a great book, India Grows at Night. In fact, if you ask me what is India's current status in terms of ease of doing business, in terms of brand building, in terms of fund availability, in terms of taking huge, big decisions, or taking our enterprises in a large manner, I would say the situation is not conducive. Situation is not conducive because as I told you in the initial thing, the business immunity, what we call it as a kind of a guarding structure for my business or my enterprise or my entrepreneurial assignment, I have to be very, 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 very careful. The more I expand, the more I get myself large in a faster manner, the immunity is going to be less. The challenges are going to be more. And one thing has changed in whether the ease of doing business has changed. If you ask me, no, it has not changed at all. 100, if you ask 100 government officers, whether they are sales tax officers or income tax officers or excise officers, 99 officers think that businessmen are thieves. Businessmen are making money in all illegal methods. Businessmen do not pay taxes. Businessmen are the people who want all comforts in the life, and they don't understand the critical, extremely volatile situation where people like us travel as an entrepreneur. Every month, when the moment the 1st of August comes, the 1st of April comes, the 1st of May comes, only the entrepreneur knows the kind of an agitation he gets to pay salary, to pay taxes, to pay income tax, all those things. But if you ask any government officer, he will think. That's what I have spoken in many open forums. In forums like TAI, in forums like Yes School, I have openly spoken in having big government officers on the stage. I told them this attitude of government or the government officers looking at businessmen as thieves, looking at businessmen as tax evaders should change. And I can tell you for sure, for the past 3 to 4 years, that is happening. At least the newer officers, new IAS officers, IRS officers, or the new officers who are coming, they are coming with the mindset that we should not look at business people as thieves or tax evaders. Particularly in South, I don't know about North. And even if I know, I don't want to divulge here. In people in South, definitely pay tax. And people, if I am not paying tax, that doesn't mean that I'm evading. I did register, but I pay after 3 months. That means that I don't have money, I don't pay. That's all. But I am not evading at all. So the attitude is completely different between South compared to East, compared to West, or even North. So businessmen in South, far more superiorly honest, in my opinion. That's how the feeling or the looking at business people by the government or government agencies are slowly changing. And that's the reason I would say the situation is slowly conducive for us to get into a kind of a doing business in a good environment without anybody looking at us as people as wealth creators. We are not wealth creators, we are job creators. I am doing government job. To give a job to anybody who has finished education is the job of the government. But as an entrepreneur, I give job to 100, 200, 300, 400, 500 people. Even a small shop owner give job to 6 people. That means he is doing the government's job in a part. And he is doing the responsibility of a government is shared by each one of us as entrepreneurs, as businessmen. Government should thank us. Instead, they should not blame us that we are tax evaders. That's another thing. In my opinion, I want to give you one simple example. Maybe this is known to each one of you. I was deeply disturbed because I know him very closely about the suicidal attempt and the death of one of the greatest entrepreneurs India has produced in Siddharth, the managing director, chairman and managing director of Cafe Day. It's a case study by itself. It's not only the suicidal attempt and eventual death of Siddharth, the rebirth of the company, the restructuring of that company by his wife Malavika also is a case study. That's a different thing. And I'm not going to touch about how the Cafe Day is getting restructured now so successfully by Malavika Siddharth. And the point here is why Siddharth attempted such a suicidal attempt. Happened in your place in Kerala. He's a man from Bangalore, coming from a hugely rich family, not an ordinary man, not like me, son of a teacher. No, he was a man. In his birth, he had thousands of crores of wealth. He is the man with the silver spoon. He launched one of the most ambitious, absolutely standout project in India. When all the cafes, all the coffee shops in South and in North were selling coffee for 10 rupees, he was determined to sell coffee for 250 rupees, 250 rupees for one coffee in Coffee Day. He created a concept by himself. He created a category by himself. Such a hugely successful man. He gets down in a car in a bridge, which is approximately 2.5 kilometers in Mangalore, Kannur, Mangalore. He gets down, he asks his driver to go to the next corner of this thing. I will walk in the bridge and come to the next thing. He did not reach the next spot. In between, he got himself into the river and died. That's the thing. This is a case study. The case study is he had money. Not that he did not have money. He had debts. But he had money to repay debts. He has 5 times of that money. If 100 rupees is his debt, he had at least 500 rupees in his kitty. Only thing, he should create that money, sell his assets and pay back. Number 1. Number 2, his business was not that bad. It was doing well. The mistake he did was he borrowed from few of his close friends some huge money, 100 crores, 20 crores, 30 crores, 40 crores, 50 crores. He borrowed from his friends. And now those friends have questioned his morality, his integrity. The man himself, who is the son of a great entrepreneur, coming from a hugely rich family, son-in-law of one of the most powerful politicians of the country, decided to die, decided to give himself away. He gave it up. Why? That's a case study. The case study was very simple. In my opinion, I have analyzed because he did not have one good friend to share his problems, to get the ideas. I've always believed when you are getting into an entrepreneurship, it is the most challenging area. Anything can happen anytime. One simple notice from a corporation, from an excise department, from a sales tax, or even from a sanitary inspector can finish off their business. One simple notice is enough. That's the kind of a situation, challenging environment we run a business. So I've always told people, you should have at least few friends with whom you can share your thoughts. They will understand better because they are outside my ambit. They are outside in my business. They look at my business as a different thing. They could have. So had Siddharth had good friends, shared with them the whole history in complete frankness, maybe he could have avoided. And that is a big scar in Indian entrepreneurship. I can tell you for sure, the policies have changed. The policies of the government, the policies of the Reserve Bank, the policies of the income tax, the policies of the customs, all policies have changed. The very essence of the central government after the death of Siddharth, because they thought that entrepreneurs are living with constant threat, and that should not happen to good businessmen. So Siddharth loss has been a great lesson for all of us, but it has also come out giving us a lot of solutions. Government, it shook the conscience of the government. He directly attacked he questioned the government. He said, I have not done anything wrong. Why this income tax is begging me? Why my bank accounts were closed? Why I was made economically paralyzed? How do I operate? And is this the way my government repaying me for all the good things I did? Because I employ 8,000 people, not 1, 2, 3, 4. I employed 8,000 people. I've been a job creator. I've been a job giver. I've been doing the job of the government in my own way by giving employment to 8,000 people. Why government agencies are crippling me? He questioned the central government, and central government conscious acted, and they brought in. I am not here to discuss what kind of changes government brought in, but the whole outlook of the government changed after what Siddharth did. That's a case study. That's a lesson for each one of us. I am not as big as Siddharth. I don't run a corporate like Siddharth, but the lessons are same. Whether I run a 10 crore company or I run a 1,000 crore company, the effect is same. As I told you, one notice can kill 1 crore company. The same notice can kill 1,000 crore company also. It's only the dimensions. How to have it. So I have always told people, Not only to have good friends with whom you can share all your good and bad and take their advices. You talk to 5 people, 5 different advices will come, and you can choose one of the good. Instead of we ourselves think, invest our own thinking and get a solution, it is always better to discuss with others and get solutions. That's how good businesses are formed, good entrepreneurs are formed. And many people have asked me in such forums, sir, you tell me you are telling so much understanding, so much about business, entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is a different community. Entrepreneurs are job creators. Entrepreneurs doing government job. Entrepreneurs are ordinary, not ordinary people. They are people who are sacrificing many things to become successful. And only 18% of the people who enter into the business arena are successful. That's a study done by only 18% of the people who enter into the business arena are entrepreneurship are successful. What happens to this 82% people? They are nowhere. History remembers only who are successful. Today in Chennai, we are running a Chennai chess Olympiad. Chess Olympiad. Thousands of people playing chess. Millions of players are chess. But there are only 600 people who are playing chess in Mahabalipuram here. Because history recognizes, remembers the achievers only. What happened to the people, the remaining people? The 82% of the entrepreneurs who entered with a lot of ambition like you and me, with a lot of new products with you and me, with a lot of brand building ideas like you and me, what happened to them? Where are they? You and I don't know. That's why I told you, I tell many business entrepreneurs, sorry, I'm not doing well. So the entrepreneurs, that the one single quality for an entrepreneur is not money. Having money or having ideas to create money, is not having a good product and having ideas to market a good product, and having good background and not able to use the background. One single most important quality for an entrepreneur who wants to be successful, who wants to be one among that 18% of those entrepreneurs who are successful, is courage. Courage and courage. Courage, in my opinion, is the language of an entrepreneur. Facing every situation with courage, facing every situation with a fearless attitude, facing every situation is a nice. When I talk like this, in one of the business schools, one student stood up and he asked me a question which shook me. Sir, please tell me frankly, does honesty pay in business? Really, it's a $1 million question. I have been in corporate world. I have worked in pharmaceutical company, and then I have worked in a pure business engineering organization, and dealing only with the top chairmen and other things in cement and fertilizer industry. He asked me a very simple question: does honesty pay in business? See, for example, let me tell you, as I told you, if there are 100 business houses, small or big or medium, if there are 100 business entrepreneurs, and maybe 1 or 2 will do some kind of a goalmark, at least 98% of the people write good accounts, correct accounts, pay correct taxes, do everything with their conscience, and they do not want to evade anything against the government or against the conscience or against the system. But they are the most affected people by the agency, because you give me any kind of an account, any balance sheet, any accounting statement, I can find out. Even me, as a layman, as a man who has only run a top management thing, I can find and tell you 100 mistakes in that balance sheet. I can ask 100 questions in the balance sheet. When such is the case, even in the balance sheet which is prepared, thought, corrected, and a balance sheet can be found with 100 mistakes. You can understand a book, an accounts book. Yeah, in input and output, invoices, so many things. It starts with the purchase, and then the process, then the semi-goods and the final goods, and then you bill it, and then input credit, output credit. 100 mistakes can happen. But government do not understand what is the mistake of an entrepreneur in just small clerical errors. No. Even if it is a clerical error, you have to pay. The lower level officers, the inspector level officers, superintendent level officers, they say, sir, if you don't pay here or if you move this credit, it's going to be very difficult for you to handle. You will pay penalty, you will pay prosecution, you will get into this problem, that problem. So that person who asked me this question in Bharatiyar Management School at Tiruchirappalli, he asked me simple, does honesty pay in business? When I look back to the thing, my chairman, when I was working in that business enterprise, used to ask me, Nazar, we are not earning anything. We are not making any adjustments in our excise noting. In spite of doing everything in a correct manner, in spite of being honest in declaring everything, 10 excise officers are coming for this inspection, that inspection, demanding on this money, that money, give me that, otherwise I will put this thing. Then why not I earn from that and pay these fellows? Why should I be honest? You understand? That's the reason. That's a big business, big difference between European system and Indian system, which is slowly coming in India, is self-assessment. That's what now the whole system is getting into. In another 5-6 years, I think the self-assessment of income tax, self-assessment of your GST, self-assessment of our wealth, everything will come. But that has come long back there. So what has really happened is when that boy called me, does honesty pay in business? I said, we'll have to wait for good system to come. We'll have to wait for good governance to come. We'll have to wait for good, honest politicians to rule us. So that time will come. Sir, when will it come? That you and I don't know, it will come. We have to operate within the system. This is the system and I have to operate with this system. And that's how the entrepreneurship, I have always told them that entrepreneurs are a different community. I may be a Muslim, you may be a Hindu or a Sikh or a Jain or anybody. Or I belong to some caste, you belong to some caste. I speak Tamil, you speak Malayalam, they speak Telugu, they speak Gujarati, so many things. But we are all bound in one community called entrepreneur. We speak different languages, we have different cultures, but our focus, our understanding, our travel, our vehicle is one, that is entrepreneur vehicle. And we all should think alike. That's how the whole entrepreneurship is there. And if you do not have courage, in my opinion, I mean, they get into that 82% of people who fail, and failures are not recognized by history. The people who fail are not being even noted by history. History remembers only achievers. When we talk about that, I have seen businesses which thrive 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, 60 years. I will tell you one simple example. There is a small, very, very small 16-seater vegetarian hotel in my hometown. Name is Vinji Vilas. It's a small town. I mean, it's a big town. It's a small hotel. Only 16 people can sit. It was in a hut. Now, a few months back, I went to my native. I saw that he has put it in a terraced thing. That's all. That's the only change. Otherwise, the 16-seater has not become 60-seater. 16-seater, 16-seater. Even today, he is doing well. This I have seen when I was in school. When I used to go to school, whenever I have money, whenever my father gives me 2 rupees, 3 rupees extra, or I get through some sources, either my uncle comes or my aunt comes, they give me 5 rupees, 3 rupees. I go and eat that, some idli, dosa and all. So that, Inji Vilas, even today, when I say, you will not believe, even 40 years back when I was a school student, minimum 20 people will be standing out, waiting to enter. Even today, that same 30, 40 people are waiting outside to enter. Only the people have changed, but the demand for the product has not changed. I should think how. Why this Vinji Vilas man has not expanded his business, number one. And why this demand for this Vinji Vilas, a small vegetarian restaurant with so many Sarana Bhavans, so many Sangeetas, so many A to B, so many big names have come. But this Vinjivilla 16-seater small vegetarian restaurant, even today attracts people. What is the reason? Is there a special reason? When I ask that, I ask another question. Is there a difference between a brand called Tata and others? Why do Tata has great respect? Why do when Ratan Tata drives a car, when he walks, when he sits, when he be with his dog, or when he talks to his employee, when he writes a letter, when he meets the Prime Minister, when he goes out, why is Ratan Tata is so much respected? Then I realized the difference between Ratan Tata and Vijay Mallya, or difference between Ratan Tata and XYZ. You know why XYZ? I don't want to tell you. What is the difference? So then I went through Google and found out long back, 68 years back, when J.R.D. Tata was alive, one reporter asked him, "Sir, you have been the creator of industries in India. You brought in steel, you brought in aviation, you brought in irrigation, you brought in so many industries like cements and steel and other things in India. You have been a creator by himself. You are an industrial icon. But when rich men in India, the list of richest people in India, the global rich, the people call it top 10 rich men in the world, top 100 rich men in the world. When such lists are released, I don't read J.R.D. Tata in that at all. Why do that happen, sir? You are also a big industry. You are a big industrial house, one of the top industrial houses in India and in global. Same question was asked with Ratan Tata. Simple answer they gave. You don't know the difference between running an industry and creating wealth. Businessmen are wealth creators. We are not wealth creators. We are brand creators. We are hope creators. We create personality for our brand. T-A means hope. T-A means doing business with some standards. T-A, Tata means trust. T-A, Tata means not creating wealth. That's the reason we are not wealth creators. I don't have a personal wealth. So since I don't have a personal wealth, I distribute the wealth between my industries and my trusts. I do not belong to that category of 10 richest man in India, 100 richest man in India. You don't find, not today. Even after 20 years or 200 years, you will not find any Tata man in that list, because we are job creators, we are hope creators, we are trust creators. We create personality for our industry. We create personality for our brand, the personality of trust, personality of hope, personality of goodness, and personality of understanding. That's the difference. Many people have told me, in 1979, one man launched a company and I bought 15 shares. After 20 years, I made 20 lakh rupees out of that 15 shares, right? You create wealth. They are wealth creators. Wealth creators will go to any level to do business. They are businessmen. They are not personality creators. They are not brand creators. They are businessmen. They do anything to do business. But the wealth, the industrialists are the people who want to create a kind of a name for the industry or corporate. They stand out. It is for Vinjivilas, a small vegetarian restaurant, 16-seater restaurant, which is running so successfully without any change for the 40-50 years. In my own eyes, I have seen the same Tatas. We were there from the before independence, and they are even today. Even today, there is no brand, at least in India, to challenge the trust and hope of Indians we have on Tata. What is the difference? You need not be a Tata to create that kind of a trust, that kind of a brand. You can be a Vinjivilas, you can be a good saloon. People go to that saloon only. You run a small tea shop, people go to that tea shop only. You run a small mobile shop, people go to that mobile shop only. I have not changed my grocery shop. I have not changed my saloon at least for 20 years since I come to Chennai. I have not changed many things, because wherever I have gone and created a relationship, those businessmen, those people have created a trust in me, and I keep going for many, many years. That is what is important. People need to stand out and understand the business, that creating a personality for ourselves, creating a category for our, it may take time. The success may come little late, but it will different, because that's a sustained success. That's how people should have it. Want to end? Whatever I have shared with you is out of my understanding. I have believed in one thing: to build something, it takes long time. To build a personality, to build a brand, to build goodness, to build a trust, to build a company, to build a team, to build a good factory, to build a name for our business, it takes a long time. A simple wrong step can destroy in no time. Building something takes long time. To destroy that, it takes only few seconds. And that's the reason I used to tell the young entrepreneurs, any kind of an entrepreneurs, once you come to a certain level, we'll have to be extra careful in taking any decisions before we decide to take any this thing. In that, one simple example I tell you and close this session. I've always admired the country of Japan, the people of Japan. In 1945, the entire country was collapsed. Osaka and Nagasaki and Hiroshima are not small towns. They are industrial towns. America was not that fool. America put bombs in Hiroshima, Nagasaki because they knew the entire economy of Japan was living. 80% of the economy was in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They bombed and closed the economy of Japan. Japan took hands and surrendered. Just in 24 years, Japan became number 2 economy in the world. Number 2 in 24 years. How? You smashed everything. You make him bankrupt. You destroyed everything in the country. You brought them into standstill position. Economically lost, people lost hope. But the country decided. Country is what? Country is people. If Chennai, it is not Chennai. Chennai is a reference term. The people live in Chennai. Ernakulam is not Ernakulam. People live in Ernakulam. Kerala is Kerala. People living in Kerala. So people living in Japan, Japanese people decided from top to bottom, from the sweeper to the prime minister, from the ordinary man to the CEO of any company, all of them decided, we will talk only about peace, we will talk only about development, we will talk only about hard work, we will do everything possible to revive our economy as fast as possible, we will discipline ourselves. We have no intention to attack anybody. We don't need big army. We don't need big air force. We don't need big navy, but we need good economy. So from this day, we decide to work ourselves in unison. All the people of Japan, each one of them, men and women and children, decided they will think peace, they will think good work, they will think entrepreneurship, they will think economy, they will all put up their work instead of 8 hours. They started working for 16 hours. That did not stop even today. Every Japanese even today work for 12 to 16 hours. And he doesn't grumble. He is happy about it because he thinks that is contribution to the country. That's the greatest example we have. And that could possibly in Japan because every one of the Japanese thought in the same direction. The entire country was in the same direction of peace, of development, speaking, working in single direction. In just 24 years, they came back as the second largest economy. That's the greatest case study what we have. And I'm happy that I could share some of my thoughts with you. And I'm open to any questions if there is time. Thank you.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Nazar. I would have thanked you anyway, but this one comes from the bottom of my heart. I'm almost inspired to be an entrepreneur, but very quickly, I will just touch upon some of the salient points that, sort of really stick with me. One is the fact that, you talk about entrepreneurs as a community, like superhumans, different from non-entrepreneurs. And that's really true because the kind of challenges any entrepreneur at any level faces. what stood out for me is, like you said, entrepreneurs need not money, not ideas, not categories, but they need courage, courage, courage. That was a very important insight for all of us. And your whole speech had so many examples which made it so relevant to all of us. But one of the examples that really like stood out and touched my heart personally was that of Mr. Siddharth of Cafe Coffee Day. And such a small thing that as we rise up, you said, you rise up, the oxygen level reduces. But even then, at whatever height you are, the importance of having friends. That was such a very important point that you said. And I could go on and on, but I know that people are probably bursting with questions. So we'll have an interactive session, and anyone who wants to share anything, ask a question, please just unmute yourselves, and you can make use of this opportunity of having a great entrepreneur with us today.
Thank you so much. It was just wonderful listening to you. This is Jimmy here. Sir, can you just throw some light on how you stumbled upon your brand name, Manna? Because for me, Manna sounds a Hebrew word. Of course, if you look at it, it was the food that was showered over the Israelites on their exodus in the desert. And that is one side of it. And then when I looked at the other side, where you have come up with some exotic mixes of natural grains and created some nutritional revolution that you are set to create. So there is a linkage between the two, because on one side it is divine food, on the other side it's kind of heavenly nutrition that we are talking about. And another thing I also wanted to mention, since you told us that you like history and literature and stuff like that, I was also reminded of a book, an article that was published by A.G. Wells. I think it was in 1904, where he was talking about how the food of the gods came to earth, where he is talking about something called Heracleophobia, which when eaten, it can increase the size to 5 or 6 times his natural size. So when you look at the three things put together, there is some linkage, some connection somewhere between the naming and your core business.
See, in my opinion, thank you, Mr. Thomas, for this, Jim Thomas. And when we started this business, we wanted to have the brand name. And, as you rightly said, it's a Hebrew word. It's in the Israelis, and then in biblical reference, and also in the Quranic reference. And the Israelis, they are the, in that list, they are the early people.
Very true. Yeah.
And it starts with the prophet Moses when he walked into the thing after in the Egypt, in the deserts, and they were thirsty. They wanted water. They were also hungry. They wanted food. So God thought that instead of giving food separately and water separately, there's a rain. It was a semi-solid or semi-liquid, you can call it, and they were taking it and eating it. The thirst was also addressed, also that their hungriness also addressed. That's how the semi-solid kanji kind of a thing, porridge. That's why we named it Manna. It's a Manna Salawat in Quran, and also in 9 places. And it is referred in Bible, and it's also in Hebrew, right? And that's the reason I told you we have created a category in ready to cook porridge kanji area. And recently I had differences with my investors kind of a thing, because they wanted to shift from ready to cook to ready to eat, and I did not like it, and that's a different story. I have always said that I'm happy to be the head of a small, Tamil and Vivek sir, elike thalaya irukkirathu, pulike vaala irukkirathu kind of a thing. So I thought you may be a small person, but you are a person to be noted in kind of you are a category created in ready to cook, and you need not get into a big Maidan where there are 1,000 players are playing, and you will be one among the 1,000 as ready to cook, ready to eat area. And we stuck to this ready to cook, natural, traditional mixes. And as Mr. Vivek told in the introduction, and I went to CFTRA after being a general manager. And I joined a course for 18 days, complete 18 days. I joined them and I studied the whole concept of this traditional health foods, how this kanji is made. And they had this formula earlier. And I joined myself into this course and we course corrected the whole thing. I just made some small changes to appeal to the marketing and to the other people. That's how the whole brand came in. And I have no big interest in that currently, so I don't want to comment further. Thank you.
Sir, I'm Biju Dominic. I'm calling from Bombay, Mumbai. So you said you believe that ready to cook is actually should be, instead of ready to eat. Is it because you believe the target audience, the housewives actually relate more to ready to cook, where they have a role, vis-a-vis ready to eat, where they don't have a role? Is that one of the reasons, or are there more reasons? What do you?
My point of ready to cook and ready to eat comparison was on my perspective of Manna and my perspective of being a category creator, number one. If you ask me, the ready to cook has a large, ready to eat has a large market where every multinational is working with their R&D. If I also create a ready to eat product and I should have 200 crores to compete with them, and I should have the sustainability to sustain the losses for 5 years, which a multinational can have, not me. So for me, I thought I will create a small ready to cook formula. I will do it in Chennai first. I will do pilot marketing in Chennai and then take it to Tamil Nadu, then go to Kerala, then go to Karnataka. Then I will create a small market because I am a pioneer there. And I have a value addition also there. I need not compete with the big people, with Horlicks, Complan, this, that, and all, hundreds of products. I mean, dubbing and use this. That is not possible because in ready to cook area, I am the leader. I am the category creator. People follow me. In ready to eat area, I have to follow as 118th man or 119th man or 214th man because there are a lot of people who are there in the queue. I am in the 200th position there. So in that context only, I said that you can create. See, today I told you, when I say millet mania, I also mean that even in millets, there are a lot of innovations possible. All people are switching. I mean, big crowd is getting into millet flour, millet biscuits, millet cookies, this millet, that will not work. And if you really make an R&D and get into a particular area of millet food, you'll be successful. And you can be sustainable only when you do one category of millets and work on it. You need not compete with others. Britannia may come out with millets. Britannia will come out with multi-millets. I mean, many biscuit companies will come with multi-millets. ITC will come with so many people are, say, when I can do R&D, ITC will do 100 R&Ds. So they will also be working. But the difference between that R&D and me R&D is, here R&D is looked after directly by me. I go to the kada. I go to the shop and understand the chairman of ITC does not go to supermarket to understand, but I go to the supermarket, whether my product will sell or not, I decide. What formula I decide. What cost I decide. I may have a small R&D team, but my R&D is in my brain. So I go with the market, they go with the, expectation. So that's the difference. When there is so big differences between their resources and R&D facility and wealth, so many things. I have very limited resources. With this limited resources, can I build a Minji Vilas? I'm okay. I did not build a Tata. That's okay. That's what I really meant with the ready to cook and ready to eat area. Thank you, Mr. Biju.
Mr. Nazar, my name is Nainan.
Yeah, Nainan, sir.
My question is actually, what is the one thing that you want to see changed in the Indian business environment?
One thing? I'm sorry.
You want to see changed in the Indian business environment?
I want to see change.
Yes.
As I told you, government looking at businesses in a different thing, that's changing. One thing is very, very, even today, there's a lot of fund available, sir. There is a mad rush in growth that is going to kill the industry. And when if you are a 3 crore person, if you are growing 4 crores next year, it should be a good growth. And I am pushed from 3, go to 9. From 9, go to 25. And from 25, you don't look at 30, you go to 60. This mad rush is happening everywhere. The growth, the pushing. I will give you money. Why do you worry? I am from Germany. I am from Japan. I am from China. I am from Dubai. I have money. I am an investor. Give it. I will give it. Advertise. What is happening? That mad rush is not good for India. That is not going to create sustainable businesses. That's going to create brands. Create a brand in 5 years, sell it. Brand of trade in 3 years, sell it. And that is not going to be good because there will be short-term objectives. That is not good for a long-term perspective of the organization. I will tell you one small example. I went to China, the Yunnan, where this COVID was created, kind of, or started. The city of Yunnan, you don't have, compared to, that is the 9th largest city of China. 9th largest city of China. And there is no city in India compared to Yunnan. That's the kind of an infrastructure they have created. In India has no city like Yunnan. Yunnan is only the 9th largest city. I don't know 10th, 12th, 11th and all. So that's the kind of an infrastructure they have created. We are 30 years behind. And if you want to tell you that one change in India needs is the creation of infrastructure. When creation of infrastructure happens, you need to have honest implementation. It takes longer time. One simple bridge, which could have been built in 6 months, takes 6 years for political reasons, for reasons of commission, for reasons of implementation, so many things. This should change. And I firmly believe that the change is coming to India. No doubt. No doubt. Whatever may be your perception, my perception, and there is, see, you see, till 99 degrees, you don't feel, till 98, you put the water into that, in the cooker, and you heat it, 90, 91, 92, you don't see any change. The moment 99 comes, and the whole water boils, and that time will come. I have to wait and see. People are not fools. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarit Nair Saab, you are laughing. Am I right or wrong?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. I was just thinking of, asking another question if nobody else is asking. Compelled to ask.
Do you agree with this 99-degree policy?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And Kerala is famous for that. They don't know when to react. Yeah, okay.
Sir, on a personal front, you have been a job creator. You have created a brand, and now you are moving on to creating or helping entrepreneurs. And you also spoke about having an immunity or an insurance for business also. And you're talking about the 82%, right? Is that what you want to leave a legacy in terms of I am the one who created or helped that 82%? So maybe something like funds for 82% business or a friends of business, using your word, saying that every business needs a friend. So do you want to be known as a friend of those kind of 82% business? And that's what the legacy you want to leave?
No, I told you 2 legacies are. One is Tata, which is not in our hands. That's a big thing. I also told you about Vinji Vilas. You think of why Vinji Vilas has not expanded from 16-seater to 60, at least 24-seater, 18-seater, 24. He thought that is enough. Till I'm 16-seater, there are 20 people waiting outside. I make good money. That's okay. Maybe I have not analyzed. Those days his dosa was 10 rupees. Could have been 10 rupees. Now maybe 18 rupees, 80 rupees or 100 rupees. Maybe he's making that demand into some kind of a better GP, better returns for him. That is okay. But it is left to you. You have to decide whether you want to be in Vinji Vilas or you want to be a to B where they keep expanding. But what is that is the factor, no? At the end of the day, you being 1,000 crore or you being 100 crore, what difference does it make? Are you leaving a legacy? You giving an employment to 100 people or 1,000 people, how does it different? 100 is 100, 1,000 is 100. But what is important is the bottom line is employment. You are giving employment and you created a legacy. Stay on that. See, in Tamil, I don't know whether you understand. Maybe most of you Malayalis can understand. Aala ulradhu, agala ulradhu, you know that.
Yeah.
Akalana, I mean, in large place you make that 40, but you also plow in a deep. So deep plowing is always good instead of broad plowing. So that's what I meant. Whatever one single product you have, whatever single brand you have, whatever single category you have created, first make it strong, make it sustainable, have some kind of a insurance created around that. Then you can create another category. Then you can create another expansion. That, see, this is not the same thing which was happened 20 years back. 20 years back, there was no lender was ready to buy you. Even now, I remember with my experience as a group general manager, I was handling 60 crores that day. And with all those experience, when I went to bank, I was treated like a beggar, meaning in that sense. So people were not ready to even discuss with me. And traditional way of thinking, bring an invoice, bring 3 invoices, lowest of the invoice I will take. What is nonsense? Today, that has changed. So it goes out of time. So my times were different. And this ease of doing business or the fund availability with various sources, investors, equity, banks, fledged funds, even governments, so many new funding is available. That is where we have to be careful. That is where I used to tell the young entrepreneurs, because fund is available, don't take. Because your investor is telling you to grow from 3 to 9, don't commit. Go by 3 to 6, 3 to 4, 3 to 4.5, 3 to 6, 50%, 30% growth is okay. When the general growth is only 30%, you cannot grow by 300%. That's not a natural growth. It has to be organic. So 30% growth every year for 5 years is possible. Then you create a small category without creating any big challenges. So that's where I mentioned that. Thank you.
I really must say something. 77 is considered a very lucky number. Okay, if anybody plays Tambola, Housey, they usually say all the luck, 7 and 7, 77. So today we were very lucky to have you with us and share your thoughts.
Thank you.
It was really our fortune. I will now request Ms. Beena Madan, our General Manager, to please deliver a vote of thanks.
Good evening to you all. It is a privilege and great joy for me to thank you. At the outset, I would like to thank Mr. Nazar. The message given by you is really inspiring and motivating, sir.
Thank you.
Given us a memorable evening. Thank you, sir, for your encouraging words.
Thank you.
As you know, Mr. Nainat Thared is our president and advisory board member. Words are not sufficient to thank him, but I take this opportunity to really thank for his guidance. I would like to thank Mr. Biju Dominic, our advisory board member. Thank you, sir, for your valuable time and interaction. Special thanks to Mr. Vivekananda for introducing our chief guest. I would like to thank all our invited guests and my colleagues for being a wonderful audience. I extend my gratitude to Ms. Navya Paul for beautifully coordinating this program. And finally, let me put on record my gratitude to Mr. Dilip Narayanan for giving us this wonderful opportunity to be part of a growing organization. Thank you all.
Thanks, Beena. Thank you.
Thank you very much to everyone here and our online audience.